In the 7th century, before the first nomadic invasions swept the Islamic world, Imam Ali delivered a chillingly precise description of a future military force. He spoke of a people whose faces were like hammered shields, clad in iron and silk, leading purebred horses through the dust of war. Their battle tactics were merciless. The prophecy detailed a slaughter so severe that the wounded would be forced to literally walk over the dead, leaving a landscape where the fleeing survivors were fewer than those taken captive. Hearing this level of detail, one of his companions asked a logical question. Had Imam Ali been granted knowledge of the unseen, the divine omniscience belonging only to God? Ali drew a firm line. Absolute unseen knowledge, like what grows in a mother's womb or who ultimately enters paradise, belongs exclusively to the Creator. But this military roadmap was different. It was knowledge taught directly to him by the prophet. These specific physical details, the shields, the iron, the horses, act as a historical anchor, providing a grounded precedent for the more distant events Ali would go on to describe. As the timeline moves toward the final days, the prophecies shift in scale from human armies to the earth itself. The land of the Turks becomes the site of massive geological upheaval. This map outlines the major fault lines in the region. According to the text of al-Jafr, devastating earthquakes are prophesied to strike specifically in these eastern tectonic zones, described as a physical reaction to the inhabitants insulting the book of their Lord. Further south, the prophecies describe the Euphrates River physically receding. As its waters drain away from these ancient banks, the exposed riverbed and pebbles are said to reveal a massive hoard of hidden treasures, but this wealth remains inaccessible to the general public. At this moment, the conflict expands to the cosmos. The archangel Gabriel is said to descend upon the Rock of Jerusalem, seen here beneath the Golden Dome, crying out to the world that truth has arrived and falsehood has perished. Imam Ali framed this sequence in a somber warning to his son, Hussein. He stated the mobilization of the Turks would be the signal to wait for the Mahdi, who would then humble the kings of oppression. Within this timeline, overcoming this military force is the final prerequisite that ends the rule of these kings and establishes a different form of justice. To understand why these final events are viewed with such certainty, we can look at Imam Ali's description of a city that did not even exist during his lifetime, al-Zahra, known today as Baghdad. He described a future capital filled with tamarisk trees and immense wealth, but he also warned that this beauty would be hollow, masking deep corruption and terrifying injustice from its leaders. Ali prophesied that the city would fall to a foreign king with a loud voice and high resolve, a commander who would invert every banner raised against him. He identified these attackers as hairless, beardless men with small eyes and faces like hammered shields. This matches the historical Mongol and Turkic vanguards that destroyed Baghdad in the 13th century. Historical commentators like Ibn Abi al-Hadid witnessed this collapse firsthand and pointed to it as the lived fulfillment of Ali's words, a historical template for the final engagement described in the prophecies. This leads to the final map of the uprising. The texts outline a geographical emergence starting in the eastern region of Khorasan. From that point, the movement expands outward, overtaking the territories of Kerman and Multan. As the movement grows, others join the cause. The people living in the mountains of Gilan and Daylan, like the terraced slopes seen here, are said to rise up and answer the call. Against this unified force, the banners of the Turks finally fracture. Their once dominant formations expose flaws and weaknesses, eventually scattering across the regions. In this eschatological framework, the rise of the Turks is a formidable chapter that must reach its conclusion before the earth settles under the authority